Hello. I'm gonna wait for a few people to log in. I hope all of you are doing great. It's Thursday. Hi, Lenara. It's Thursday, and I'm so excited to talk about this topic. It's funny how things happen because my life in the last like month or two has been so busy and so crazy that when I posted, I actually just posted the poll asking you guys what you want to talk about, kind of not unconsciously, but just pulling topics out, of things. I have like this log of things that I want to talk about. And when this one came up, I was like, it's so perfect because in the last month, have felt like I have been even disconnected with my man in this crazy busy time. So I'm really excited, to talk about this and to share some tips, and not just tips, but really like the mindset around, being busy. So hi, Angela. So happy to see you. So tell me just before, people start jumping on, I want to know what is the thing that is really real for you, that keeps you so busy that you don't have time to really connect with your husband. Hi, Tatiana. So just post really quickly, one or two words. What do you feel like is the thing that just was like real for you, and why you don't have time to connect with your partner? I just want to get it. I know for me, just the day to day stuff that piles up, like, from laundry to work to kids drop off activities, like everything that really seems like it's so real in my schedule, and it is, but that I prioritize, um, that by the time I want to connect with my husband, it's like 9 o'clock, and I'm so tired that all I want to do is just lay in bed and maybe watch a Netflix show or something like that. So I'm seeing Angela, kids and work for sure. Um, yeah, and I'll just keep on reading. But basically, it's crazy when we get married, we have babies, careers, homes, our social lives, and life seems like it gets so busy. And the biggest complaints that I hear from women that I talk to, is that their relationship, that they don't have enough time together with their partner. And here's the thing, time is a tricky thing. And I want you to consider something, that it's not time that you don't have. It's actually the connection that, when you get to spend time with your husband, that you are longing for. The time is just, a word that we use. How many of you can relate to this? Just post in the comments, like, is it actually time, or what do you look for in that time? What do you want inside of time that you create with your husband? And when you do create time with your husband, what is it that you're longing for? So just going to kind of check the comments. And sometimes they come in really slowly. I know for me, what I really long for with my husband is connection, for him and I to really feel like we're on the same page, that, we have this like deep connection that we had when we just met. And that's one thing that I get when I spend time with him. Also, I love having fun with him. He's like a really fun guy. And when we hang out, we have a ton of fun together. So when we don't create time, I really want that fun. Like, he actually brings fun into my life. So what about you guys? What is it that you're looking for? So to reconnect and have time alone to talk about us. Yeah, I totally get that, Angela. Um, so yeah, I can so relate. And, I was just mentioning we recently moved and life has felt like it's been nonstop. We've, been in a new city. We moved like 2 hours away from where we used to live. So we had to change my daughter's schools. And, just everything takes longer, like to find, I mean, everything is still in boxes. So just finding stuff for the kitchen, it takes forever. So like everything just has felt more busy, and we're still unpacking and the packing, and it's been like nonstop. And then of course my husband runs like three businesses, and I'm running a business, and taking care of myself, our marriage, our kids. It's like it feels like time for each other has been non-existent, except for just like managing the daily tasks. So like I said before, like I'm super excited to talk about this topic because it's funny, like this is the stuff that's been coming up for me as well. So let's just kind of dive right in. The first thing that I want to talk about, and I think it's the most important, is really looking at the mindset that you have around time. And I want to ask you something. I want to ask you, how many of you actually have it real that you are busy? Just post busy in the comments so I know. Hi, Ina. So how many of you feel really busy? So busy is a funny word, okay? It's a word that, we use a lot, and we throw it around like kind of like this word, like, oh, I'm busy. But what I really want to bring to your attention is what comes up for you. And when you relate to yourself as being busy, like what feelings do you have that are attached to this word? And feel free to post in the comments. And I'll share what I mean, more about this. So for me, when I talk about myself as being busy, I get this feeling right away of like anxiety, and that I'm unavailable and I'm caged in and kind of restricted. I don't like this word. And when I, unpack it more and more, this is what I realize, that I relate to. So thoughts create your feelings, and the feelings create actions. So think about it. And I want you to really think about it for yourself. What do you feel when you are telling yourself that you're busy? And then after that, like how you feel is how you're going to show up in your day. So for me, when I'm feeling anxious and unavailable and, kind of caged in and constricted, the way I show up for my family and my husband is exactly that way. I am not available. And it's actually a big complaint that he has, because I'm always, running around telling myself I'm busy. So I'm not even available for him. So when he, asks me, hey, can we talk? Or he just has a conversation, it's almost like inconvenient for me that he wants to have that conversation with me at the time when I'm busy. Okay. So what comes up for you guys when you're busy? Yeah. I see Holly. Hi, Holly. That you're useful, important, doing something. So it's perfect, because I totally can relate. Like busy is this word, I think, in our society that a lot of people use also to feel important, that we're useful. And underneath that, I'm always peeling the layers. So being important and useful, like what's underneath that? And for me, feeling important and useful is feeling like, I'm loved, or that I'm important, because there's a lack of it. Okay. So just start thinking about that. So, when I realized this, and I had this like epiphany a while ago, that I used this word as an excuse almost to just feel important and useful, like what, you're saying. And I started realizing that, these feelings that I'm creating, they are all a result of those thoughts. So I started shifting my thoughts. And the thought that I started shifting, from being busy is to telling myself that I get to do something. So I've been really conscious about this. And instead of telling myself that I'm busy, I tell myself when I'm doing stuff is, oh, I get to drive my kids to school. So I get to spend time with my kids in the car. And then when I get to do those things, even like things that I don't really like folding laundry, and I get to, I ask myself, like, wow, what do I get to do when I'm doing this stuff, this busy work? And I tell myself I get to contribute to my family. So when I'm in that feeling of like I get to contribute to my family or I get to do something, I actually have the experience that, I'm really honored and I'm blessed to do these things for my family. So I want you guys just to ask yourself, like in your life, what do you get to do? Rather than you're busy with, X, Y, and Z, what do you get to do? Whether it's for yourself, for your family, if you're working, what do you get to do? So just, if you want, post it in the comments below. I would love to know what you guys get to do. And, this mindset shift is like the first thing that you really want to do when you are talking about any area of your life. So you always want to unpack and really see what's underneath. Because if you start just making time in your calendar, you're gonna and not unpack it and not make these mindset shifts, it's not really gonna matter. It's all gonna be in order to, have more time with your husband because that's what you should be doing. And you're never really gonna feel fulfilled when you are creating that time with your husband or when you are, there, or it's just gonna be something that you should be doing and not because it comes from this like place of inspiration and something that you really are moved to do. And that's what I want for you guys. I want you to have that time with your husband when you do have it and really like get to experience that time with him, get to connect with him, that you get to really appreciate him or, get to have him appreciate you. So I hope you're getting what I'm putting down. So I'll move on, and I want to talk about another thing that I want to start shifting your mindset, and it's just this whole conversation of time. And I promise I'm going to get to like the tactical things to do, but the mindset stuff is like number one. So this conversation about time. And, we relate to time as being real. Like we don't have enough of it. Like it's like this bucket of time and, there's only a certain amount of it and we don't have enough. Can you guys relate to this? Can you see what I'm talking about? So this time bucket, it runs our lives. Like our calendar and the clock tells us how our day is going to go. And then we react to it when it doesn't go that way. I know I do this. So I'm sure, you guys do it too because we're human and, we make it real. So what I want to bring to your attention is that time, it's made up. Okay. It's a made up thing. Like think about it. So if you go, on a vacation and you're away from everything and you don't even have things to do, time doesn't really matter, does it? I mean, for me, like when I'm on vacation, I don't even know what day it is. I don't know what time it is. It just doesn't even exist. So how come when we get back to our daily lives, we start having time really like run our lives? And, it's basically controlling us in some ways. I know that some of this stuff might sound, if you guys aren't into, this kind of talk, just getting conscious of it, it might sound a little crazy, but I really want you to consider it because I promise you, once you start really looking at it like that and those perspectives, things start to shift. So, all time it's an opportunity for you to express your priorities. Take it on. And just think about it. Whatever you want to put your energy into is what you use your time for. So your actions, they actually express your priorities. So just think about what are like your top three priorities in your life? Okay, we'll do this little exercise. Actually, comment in the comments, what are your top three priorities in your life? And I'll share mine. So for me, the first priority I have is that I feel joy in my life every day and that I'm aligned with God, like that I feel connected and to God and to a higher source. And for me, that is like the number one thing. Because when I am that, everything works. I feel good. I feel, I have faith. I'm more present. I'm more connected with my husband, with my kids, with everything. And so, yeah, so that's my number one. And then number two is my relationship to myself. I know that when I am also like when I'm putting myself first, which is sometimes the hardest thing to do. But when I know that I'm putting myself first and I have a relationship with myself, everything works. Like my relationship with my husband is awesome. My relationship with my kids, I'm not resenting them. When I'm loving myself, like I just feel good. And then my number three priority is my relationship with Rick, my husband, and that we're aligned on everything. And that I am clear that when we are, everything in our family works. It's interesting because a lot of times I forget these priorities because things get in the way. And, when I really get present to those priorities, everything else is just a distraction. So I want to know from you guys, what are your top three priorities? You can, hi, Gloriana. Post in the comments just your top three things in your life. And, whether your relationship is in the top three or not, I bet that it's the top five. Because think about it, your relationship with your husband is the foundation, it's one of the foundations of your home. If your relationship with your husband is not working, I mean, you're taking that everywhere. If your relationship with yourself is not working, like if you're not having a good relationship with yourself, you're taking that everywhere. So really think about this. And, if it's not in the top five, evaluate that and evaluate. And I'm not telling you it should be, but evaluate it and see why it's not. So, another thing, I want you to think about is that it's not the time that you want more in your marriage. Like I was saying, it's the connection. So every morning that you wake up, I want you to ask yourself every day, how can I connect with my man today? Like, how can I connect, in small little ways with him? Another thing I want you to ask yourself is, how can I take those three priorities or, 5 priorities and actually put it into my day? And look at your calendar, look at your time, and look at what you're spending your time doing. And ask yourself if it's aligned with those priorities that you have written out or thought about. And actually share with me here. Hi, Anya. Share with me, is it showing up with your priorities? Sometimes, we don't even like put those things in our calendar, even though they are a top priority. So I really want you to do the work, because that's where it really makes a difference of, writing down these priorities and asking yourself, how are you putting it in your calendar? And when I mean your calendar, like the reason I talk, calendar, I feel like we use calendars, and me included, like something, like I was talking about it earlier, to control us, to sometimes beat ourselves up. Like if we don't fulfill on it, if we're not there on time exactly, then we beat ourselves up. I want you to start shifting your mindset to use your calendar as your friend. Like it's actually going to help you gain freedom. And I am the first one to say that I forget this concept all the time. But I know that when I have that structure and I relate to my, calendar, writing something down, as something that's going to allow me the freedom to really make sure that I spend my time in these priorities, it makes such a difference. So I want you to do that exercise as well. So anyways, so another thing I want you to ask yourself, when you are creating that time with your partner, what is the intention? Like, are we going to have fun, or are we going to connect with each other? Are we going to create something together? Point is that intention is everything. So if you're just thinking about time as like, I'm just going to lay on the couch and watch a Netflix show, not that there's anything wrong with that, but if that's all you're doing every day and not really connecting and not really bringing intention to it, that's the kind of relationship you're going to end up having, is just one where you just become, two people that like kind of come together, not talk, not create any intention. So it really does take that intention for you to elevate your relationship. So for me and my husband, we actually, talk about what's the intention when we talk. A lot of times, I mean, we love watching Netflix shows and all of that, but when we do come together, we kind of create an intention for our conversation, or if we're going somewhere, out for date night, we create an intention for that. If it's just to have fun, then we actually talk about that, like, let's just have fun. But if it's like something deeper, then we talk about that and we create an intention for that. So then when we do create that time, it feels like we're connecting on another level, and we're fulfilling on what our priorities are, and what our values are. So I really want you to really start thinking about, when you do create that time, what the intention is. So now, I'm going to get more tactical and talk about tangible things that you can do to connect with your partner. Because, the mindset stuff is very important. And then how do you put it into practice is also very important. You have to do both. So the first thing, like I was talking about earlier, is just prioritizing your time together. So you guys, I started doing some research, and it's crazy. Research actually shows that couples that don't prioritize or don't spend time with each other have a way, way higher risk of divorce. And couples that do spend time together on a regular basis have, like, I think it was, I wrote it down. So the study was that married couples who scheduled time together at least once per week were 3 times as likely to report being happy in their marriages than those that didn't. And researchers actually calculated that those who reported rarely having couple time had almost double the predicted probability of divorce over the next 5 years compared to those that did have time together. So I want you, I feel like a lot of times we take this for granted, the time that we create with our partner and what it actually takes. And when I started writing this down, I realized that I haven't actually been planning in the last 2 weeks time with my husband. So I started talking to him, like, we need to plan our date nights or date days. We do date days. So the first thing is being intentional about planning and prioritizing your time together. I can't stress this enough, how important it is to actually create that time. And I know that, everybody's super busy, but I want you to start looking at your calendar and start looking where you can actually, like, where you're doing things that are just busy time, and where you can start taking some stuff off, that aren't in your top 3 priorities or your top 5 priorities. So start really looking and taking those things off your schedule. And then start putting time with your partner into your schedule. And I know that schedules can be really different. I know that, some of you have husbands who work long hours, or, or even military and they're away. Or, I know that sometimes the only time you can spend with him is like before he leaves for work. So I'm going to talk more about that, how to create that intentional time. But the first thing is really to free yourself up. So when you do have that time, you're not completely exhausted and you actually have energy to put into your marriage and express that energy and like have that energy flow with each other. Okay. So I want to hear from you guys. What is it that you can take off? Hi, Olga. Off your actual schedules that's not in your priority list. Okay. So just comment. And I can't see all the comments. So I'm like, I don't know if you guys are commenting or not. I'm sure I'll see them once the Facebook Live is over. So the next thing is you have got to, when you do create that time, you've got to take away all of the distractions, as many distractions as you can. So when I talk about distractions, and it's not just when you create that time together, it's even when you're on your own. Like we have daily distractions that we don't even realize. Phone is one. I mean, for me, that's like a big one because I'm always trying to check the group and what people are messaging, whatever. And I have to be really disciplined with myself, like to turn it off, which probably that's the hardest one. TV, like if you guys, are in the room together, turn the TV off. So there's an opportunity to connect. Housework, that's another big one. I know that housework never ends, but have a cutoff time where no matter what, you're done doing the housework. And I was doing that for a while where like, I think 7:30 or 8 o'clock, I cut off the housework. And lately, I feel like I need to get back on that boat. So I'm really happy I'm sharing about it with you because I definitely, 8 p.m. will start cutting off, turning off my phone and turning off all the housework stuff. And then kids too. Sometimes they can be a distraction for you to, spend time together. So schedule this time to be together before they wake up or even after they go to sleep. So what kind of distractions do you guys have? I want to hear from you. Is it phone? Let me actually refresh this.